Okay, guys, this is the deadlift, and this is not something that we cover in the beginner CrossFit seminar, but it is a video that we would encourage you to watch before you actually come into the regular CrossFit classes to try this out. Now, when you set up for a deadlift, this is something that's more easily taught when you actually have the plates on there. So we went ahead and set up our barbell. For this, you're going to put your feet just underneath of your hips, okay? Now, this is one of the movements where we are not recommending that you angle out your toes. You want your toes to be forward. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift down to my starting position. I'm going to stand sideways so you can see this. And I'm going to have the barbell literally up against my shins, okay? Now, we want to take the barbell and pull it back to our shins versus taking our shins to the barbell, okay? So keep the weight in your heels, shift that barbell all the way back against your shins, and wiggle those toes. For your grip, you can either do two hands straight or you can do a mixed grip. The reason you would do a mixed grip is it helps keep the barbell from slipping out of your palms versus if they were here, they tend to kind of go through your fingertips. This keeps it more in your palms. Doesn't matter which arm you put forward, which is whatever one feels most comfortable to you. So feet underneath my hips, toes are forward. I'm going to roll that barbell back against my shins. I'm going to go ahead and use a mixed grip when I set up. And what I'm going to do is make sure that I have proper positioning here. So my hips are just above my knees, and my shoulders are in front of the bar. Hips above my knees, shoulders in front of the bar, okay? Common mistake that people make is that they set up too low in more of a squatting position. Now, not to say that power lifters don't use that particular technique, but here in CrossFit, we prefer a high hip. So we don't want to see this, okay? Hips are lifted, hips above the knee, shoulders in front of the bar, engaging those hamstrings. So from here, I'm going to drag my shins, and then once I get above my knees, I'm going to very forcefully pull my hips into the bar. So I'm going to drag my shins, and then very forcefully pull my hips into the bar. And then when I go down, I'm going to drag my thighs, push my hips backwards, and then I'm going to drag my shins as I go back down to the ground. Drag my shins, hips pull in, then I'm going to push those hips back, drag my thighs, drag my shins, and go back to my starting position. Let's go ahead and take a look at that from the front view. Okay, feet underneath my hips, toes are forward. I'm going to roll the barbell back to my shins. At this point, I should be able to wiggle my toes. You can use a straight grip or a mixed grip. I'm going to drag my shins, and once I get above my knees, I'm going to pull my hips in towards the bar. I'm going to drag my thighs as I push my hips back, drag my shins, and take it down towards the floor. Okay? Now, common mistake that people make is that they tend to want to overuse their back. So instead of pulling their hips in towards the bar to stand up, they will get right here, and then they yank their chest back and pull it back here. That's going to put a lot of extra weight in our back. Another common mistake that people make is they forget that it's not a clean, okay? We do a lot of cleaning in CrossFit, which involves what we call a second pull. And a second pull, we go from here, and then we scoop our hips in and pull back to that hang position, or to that power position, okay? We're not trying to do that in a deadlift. You're not trying to scoop those hips in, okay? We're trying to go here, drive through those hips, and stand straight up. One fluid motion versus a clean where we're here and then scooping in. So you can see the difference there. So don't let that muscle memory from the clean translate into the deadlift. Okay. Another thing that we want to talk about is the sumo deadlift. So for this, we're going to have a nice wide stance. This is actually even going to be wider than our squat stance. It's going to be what we call our sumo stance, hence kind of like a sumo wrestler. And your angles, your toes are going to angle out. Just like the deadlift, we want to roll that barbell back into our shins versus taking our shins to it. We're going to reach down, and this time you want to have your hands inside your legs. So generally with the regular deadlift, we hit our hands just outside of our shins. For the sumo deadlift, our hands are inside our legs. You can also use a mixed grip or a regular grip, whichever you prefer. And I'm going to lean down here, pull that barbell back up against my shins, keep a nice flat back, and I'm going to drag my shins, and then once I get above my knees, I'm going to pull my hips in towards the bar. Let's at that from a side view. Okay, and then another lift that you may see in CrossFit that we wouldn't do from a strength standpoint in our isolated with weightlifting, but will come up occasionally in our conditioning portion, is a sumo deadlift high pull. So that's where you're going to deadlift it up, but then once we reach that bar to our hips, we're going to continue pulling that barbell into up to our chest, similar to our scarecrow position that we do on our clean pulls. So it's going to look like this. We'll show you one from the front. And you want to use your hips to help really drive that barbell into that high pull position. And that's going to be your deadlift.